All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. Double B, a.k.a. the 110 Soldiers. So much to get into, so many activities, don't have any time to waste. We're going to start off with last Olympic thoughts. First of all, shout out to United States. We got 40 gold medals and number one in the medal count.
I love gold.
Always nice. 126 medals total. That's the most since 1984. We beat China, as somebody likes to call them, to 126 to 91. Although they tied us. They actually tied us in gold medals at 40 apiece there. So I don't really care. Medal counts are cute and all that. They're all right.
Let's talk about Chinese people.
I'm not going to start bashing Chinese people or anything. But the point is that, you know, the Olympics were great. They just got done. There was a lot of cool things going on. We once again led, or at least tied, in medal counts and all that. The last one that actually gave us the tie was the gold medal for the women's basketball side when they defeated France. But I want to go back to the United States men's side defeating France. That was a cool thing by itself, was the fact that the men and women both played France, and that was the first time ever in Olympic history that's happened in a basketball final where men and women both play the same country. But the main thing I want to get into is we'll have Corey pop up my first picture here. I'm calling this either the power of a minute or just how things can change so fast. Because a lot of people talked about the game. A lot of people watched the game, United States, France, and my man Steph Curry doing his thing. Shout out to Steph. Talk about him more in a second. Steph Curry.
So hot right now.
But, I mean, you know, it was 98-87 France. USA got their fifth gold medal. There was a lot of cool stuff. Steph Curry obviously had that big flurry at the end, and all that was fun. However, there was a moment before that I want to get into. And that's kind of what I'm talking about with how quick a story changes, or the power of a minute. It's not just in sports, but think of how many, you know, significant moments in your life of where things are going exactly one way, and then one little thing happens and suddenly you're going a different direction. The ones I put up there, obviously, you know, Chris Webber's timeout in 1993. The Fab Five went from the hottest thing in the world to just a two-time loser. Chris Webber never really recovered from that. I also had the Brady Tuck rule up there. A lot of people, of course, remember that's the first of his 7 Super Bowls. Maybe he didn't deserve that call. Maybe he did. But no matter what, it was the thing that basically started his run towards the all-time greatest quarterback of all time. Steve Bartman out there, that poor bastard in Chicago. You know, one of the biggest Cubs fans of all time, got his headphones on, reached for a foul ball. Next thing you know, he's the biggest asshole in the history of assholes in the history of Chicago, and that includes the mob. I mean, Cubs fans hated his guts for years. Tyson bit Holyfield in 97. He went from full-on badass to just straight-up crazy person, and, I mean, you know, they eventually put out, like, little ear bites as gummies for it and all that. But I'm just trying to say, like, sports always imitate life, and that's why I find it so interesting. And just the idea that, man, things happen so quick, or little things you may not notice at the time that don't seem that significant can suddenly become the biggest deal in the world. That's what happened with the United States basketball game, not the France game that everyone's talking about, because everyone wants to get into it, and trust me, I love it too. Like I said, I'm going to talk more Steph in a second, but when they beat them 98-87, the 5th gold medal, again, 19.6 million people were watching that game. That is the most watched basketball game since 2016. The only one close to that was Iowa versus South Carolina. Shout out to Caitlin Clark. You know, Curry hits his 4 3-pointers in the last 2 minutes, 46 seconds. That last one over 2 outstretched tall-ass dudes. It was beautiful. Everyone's going nuts. The whole world was talking about it. Everyone loved Steph Curry, and all that's great. But the fact is, if you weren't paying attention, and a lot of people weren't discussing this, it almost didn't happen. That's what I want to talk about. So I'm calling this the power of a minute, how little moments can change everything. I want to take you back to Serbia in the game before that with the Joker, and about 8 minutes left in the 4th quarter. We're going to go ahead and go to this video now. Like I said, everyone talks about Steph versus France and USA winning gold, but it almost didn't happen because this was something y'all slept on. If you could play it here for me, Corey. Jokic, at this point, misses that 3. The 3-time MVP, 35% shooter. If he made that 3 in that game, they would have been up 14 points at that time. It would have been 78-67, and instead of him making that 3, again, a good shooter who was wide open, we were able to turn this entire game around. So just so you know, by the way, it is only a 4% chance if you are down 14 points with 7.5 left in the 4th quarter, statistically. Kevin Durant hits that 3, and thanks to a weird feed swing, it went from a almost 14-point lead with 7:40 left in just 11 seconds to 78-73. It went from a 4% chance to a 36% chance, and the whole thing, again, was based on the fact that if Jokic 6% and we were able to overcome. But everybody talks about all this other stuff, and to me, as soon as I saw that happen, I was like, that is the biggest thing in the entire men's basketball run. That 11 seconds, which a lot of people maybe didn't really, pay attention to or seemed insignificant, was the only reason we even got to the final game, to see Steph go nuts, to see LeBron get the MVP, to see USA get their 5th gold. Again, it all happens. Everything can change in just one little split second.
If I can change, then you can change. Everybody can change.
Everything can change in just that quick. And so I always love when sports do that, because it's so reminiscent of just your life in general, of like, dude, everything seems to be going one way, good or bad, and one little insignificant thing at a time can suddenly just push it into a whole nother direction. Jokic makes that 3. Again, 96% chance we are screwed statistically. Up 14 with 7.5 left, you win 96% of those games. In 9 seconds, we took it all the way down to only a 64% chance to win, which is obviously a much more easy, comeback to have. They're able to pull it off. But man, that stuff is just... It's weird. It's weird how quickly things can go a different direction. So I thought a lot of people didn't pay enough attention to that, so I called that the power of a minute. Again, you never know what's going to happen. Things could be going in one direction, suddenly it goes another, and it happens just that fast. So I thought that was cool because, it really would have been embarrassing. Let's keep it a buck. USA is the only, maybe until flag football comes out next year or next Olympics in LA in 2028, it is really the only country in sport to where silver is embarrassing. Steve Curry even said as much, like, dude, when we get a silver in basketball, that's a joke. Like, that means that we disappointed everybody. That is a weird level to live on. And they were 15.5-point favorites, by the way, against Serbia that day. But, we're outscored the first 3 quarters. Bogdan's hitting the Melo on Melo. It looked like we were in some big trouble. So we almost never even got to the France game. But we got it done. Everything worked out in our favor. LeBron got the MVP. He only has that 1 Olympics loss now, gets to have 3-1 record. Steph Curry gets his first Olympic win. And, of course, everybody was all into and talking about that game, obviously being the most watched since 2016. The 4 3-pointers in the last 2.5 minutes, Steph doing his thing. And what's been fun about that is I want to switch to the Golden State Warriors now here. Let's go ahead and talk about this, if you can hit this video for me. Welcome to what us Warriors fans already knew, and we tried to be humble about it. Steph Curry is probably, especially when he's on a heater, Steph Curry's probably the best show in sports. I really, again, as a fan of him from Davidson all the way up, it's been funny to see the TikToks and the Instagrams and all the videos going like, oh, this is what it's like to cheer for Steph Curry. Wow, this is fun. It's fun, isn't it? The dude is something else, man. This dude is special. Y'all saw the 60 points in the last 2 games, but if you've watched him his whole career, it's not just what he does, it's how he does it and what at his size. At 6'3", 185 pounds, the shot, the handle, the quick release. Steph Curry is one of the few people who is truly undisputed at something. Steph Curry is without question the best shooter to ever touch basketball, period, from this time or any time before. He is undisputed the best at what he does. And you think about it, I've always done the example of, let's say 8 billion people are on this earth, at least 1 of 8, 1 billion have picked up a basketball to shoot it. He is undisputed the best at it. It's fun to watch, isn't it? It's annoying that he's not on your team, isn't it? I have a blast watching this dude. The 4-time champ, the 2-time MVP, 10-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ, 2-time three-point champ, the 2024 Clutch Player of the Year. He obviously set the all-time three-point record in a season. He did it with 272 one year, then went to 286, then went to 402 in 2016. He has the most three-pointers made of all time, 3,747. He's the only person and is number 1 at 25 games with 10-plus threes in a game. He's made the most half-court shots in a game with 6. He has the all-time number 1 highest plus-minus in any NBA history when he had a plus 10.35, because Steph also doesn't just do what he does, he makes everyone else around him better. And at 36 years old, he is still, in my opinion, the best show in sports. Give me who else? Give me anybody else that's more fun to watch than Steph Curry on a heater. Barry Sanders in his prime, maybe. MJ, Kobe, Mike Tyson, Ken Griffey, a year or 2 of Conor McGregor, Tiger Woods, Red on Sunday, Bo Jackson, and Usain Bolt. It's a short list of people that are just, man, every time he gets out on the court, it is something that is just different. It is something, again, that is undisputed. He is the greatest to ever do it at his, at least, position and his shot. He is just something special. I have gotten to watch him for so many years. I was so glad to finally see. There were so many videos, and it was so funny. People like, oh, we get it now. I've hated this dude for a decade. I get it now. He really is. He's just fun. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to our life. It's been a good one for a while. Although it's starting to not get so great, and I'm going to discuss. There's a certain person I'm going to. But man, Steph Curry's always been that dude. Steph Curry.
So hot right
And I know a lot of y'all haven't enjoyed seeing him play, but I have. So that was fun to see. But there's also been another question, and I want to get into this now because of the Olympics and because Steph had the last 2 games, but LeBron got the MVP. And there's been rumors of this for a while. Corey, if you can hit this one for me. Should they team up? That has been a question for a while.
Simple question.
Should LeBron and Steph, and it's gotten hot again, I've seen all the medias and all them talking about it. It's a cute conversation, but it will literally never happen. This is one, honestly, we just got to go ahead and just let this pipe dream go. I don't know why we're discussing it. There's really nothing to discuss here. Steph Curry and LeBron James are not going to be on the same team under any circumstance, and I will only discuss it to help you understand why. It is no way in hell, 0.0, not going to happen chance. There is no chance of Steph Curry and LeBron James being on the same team. Sorry.
0.0.
0.0 chance of them actually being on the same team, and I'll tell you why, which is too bad because, again, a year ago it could have happened. There was actually discussions about the trade and things possibly happening that way to where it could have actually gone down. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get it done at the time. And that really, again, would have been kind of nice because, I mean, honestly, I've said for a while, if you replace LeBron James with Draymond Green, Steph Curry and LeBron James will never be on the same team. We got to let this one go. 0.0% chance.
0.0.
There was a discussion about this a year ago, and it could have happened at least and would have actually made some sort of sense because if you replace LeBron James with Draymond Green, I've said this for a while, and I would have loved to have seen it. Draymond Green is everything that he wishes to be is LeBron James. 6'8", same weight, tries to be versatile, do everything on the court. LeBron James does everything better than Draymond Green. If you were able to switch 1-for-1 LeBron for Draymond, I would have been all for it. I would have been all about it. Unfortunately, Draymond now has been signed long-term, and there's other more important reasons why we will never see this happen, so I really don't even know why we have to discuss it, but I'll break it down here for you. The 2 main reasons why this will never happen, Steph Curry and LeBron James, is that neither one now can go to each other's team. Number one, first problem is in Los Angeles, LeBron James just signed his 2-year extension at $104 million. So not only is he not just also too expensive, but they also just drafted Bronny James, and there's a no trade clause in that contract. So to review, he just signed a 2-year deal. His son just got drafted to the Lakers, and he has a no-trade clause in his contract. LeBron James is going to play with his son. He's going to be the first guy in NBA history to join his son and play at the same time. And this is one, again, the few things I've never been upset about LeBron James wanting to do or a goal having. It's history. It's cool. He is a super dad. He loves being a dad. No one else is ever probably going to have the opportunity to play with their son in the NBA the way that he's going to. LeBron is going to play with Bronny, and it's going to be in Los Angeles. He's not going anywhere. So that's why that side of the ball is not happening. On the other side, and the other reason this is just unrealistic, there is no way in hell the Golden State Warriors are trading Steph Curry under any circumstances. Not because they couldn't get good value for it, and not because it might not even make sense at 36 years old and you're supposedly a rebuilding team. It's because Mike Dunleavy is a brand new general manager, and he would have to be suicidal in his career and just want to get fired if he traded Steph Curry. Because you got to remember, he's only been there 2 years. So if you're Mike Dunleavy, and you just got the job, and you just replaced Bob Myers 2 years ago off their championship win, where Bob Myers is a legendary general manager, and your biggest contributions in the last 2 seasons, after you won a title, after replacing Bob Myers, would be to get rid of Klay Thompson, to get rid of Jordan Poole, and to get rid of Steph Curry, and all you have to show for it is Brandon Pajemski and some draft picks, that ain't going well, dog. That dude is out. The idea, hey, well, we got some draft picks in 2027. No fans would give a shit. They would riot. I would, if I ever found him on the street, it might be on for me personally. There's no way, even if it made logistical sense, that Mike Dunleavy would ever have I don't know what else to call it, career suicidal tendencies to get rid of Steph Curry after he already got rid of Klay Thompson, after he already got rid of Jordan Poole, and basically has nothing to show for it. Even if he got all the value in the world, it would not repay until 3-4 years from now. It's just, do you see what I'm saying? There's no way it's happening. There's no way. Even if it made sense, he couldn't do it because he doesn't want to lose his job. So Mike Dunleavy is not getting rid of Steph Curry. The Lakers just re-signed LeBron James and Jeff Bronny. There's no way he's not playing Los Angeles. This is a pipe dream. It's never going to happen. We got to let it go. Just say goodbye to it. It's cute. It's a fun idea. We enjoyed it with the Olympics, but it's never going to happen. Let's just move on. So that I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to. But the other thing I want to talk about on the Warriors side, real quickly, Brandon Podziemski. Hit this one here for me. Brandon Podziemski. I don't even know what to say because I hear you're actually a nice guy and you work really hard. You better be that dude. Brandon Podziemski is under so much pressure. And, I mean, it's not even a joke. I mean, other than, like, maybe Damian Lillard in Milwaukee, Kevin Durant, Phoenix, John Morant, Jason Tatum, it is a short list, and those are all stars of people who have more pressure on them this year than almost anybody in professional sports. Brandon Podziemski, you effing better be that dude. I don't know what to tell you, man, because we just lost out on the Markkanen trade. For people that haven't been paying attention to the NBA offseason, Lauri Markkanen, the 7-foot finisher, the finisher that I wanted and was really rumored to want to go to Golden State, or at least was a possibility. The trade was eventually denied. He has now been re-signed by Utah to a 5-year long-term deal, so there's no chance of Steph Curry getting that second star that he needs in order to maybe make one last championship push. And the main sticking point, according to every single report, was Brandon effing Podziemski. And dude, I don't even understand. I don't get it, but god damn it, I want to not dislike Brandon. But every time I'm going to watch the Warriors now, because we just saw with the Olympics how good Steph Curry still is, every time they lose a game or every time I think they need a second star and every time I have to watch you put up only like 8 points and 4 assists, it's going to be on you. And I don't know if that's necessarily fair, but that's the way life's going to be right now. Brandon Podziemski is under more pressure than anybody else because we all know now, anybody that's a Warriors fan, that you are the reason we did not get Lauri Markkanen. You are the reason they felt it was okay to let Klay Thompson go. You are, for some reason, their favorite. And again, for 9.2 points per game, 5.8 rebounds and 3.7 assists. I mean, he takes some charges and he's got a high plus-minus, but dude, I don't get it.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
He's okay at best. Like, he's a poor man's Dante DiVincenzo so far. Like, what am I missing? We don't go get Lauri Markkanen because we don't want to let go of this flipping guy? Why? Steph Curry has got 2 years left. He really could use that second star. We really could have used a 7-footer. We really could have used some help. And according to all the reports, we offered Moody and draft picks and seconds and pick swaps and all sorts of shit. And the only thing they said was, well, maybe you throw in Brandon. We were like, no, we can't get rid of Brandon. We can't get rid of 9.2 points per game, and he takes charges, and he's scrappy. You better be that dude this year. I don't know what to tell you, man. That dude was 27 years old in Markkanen, 7-foot-tall all-star, 23 points per game, 8 rebounds, 40% threes. We did not go get him because we had to keep this precious little guy who is in a spot that the Golden State Warriors don't really have. We have guards. It's not like we're out of combo guards that are solid role players. What? I don't get it, and I'm sure he's a nice human being, but, man, I don't understand why we didn't make that move, and every time I watch you have a mediocre game or the Warriors lose, I'm going to blame you. I have no idea why we're so in love with Brandon Podziemski as a Warriors fan.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Life sucks sometimes. It's not fair. You're a second-year kid, and you're supposed to be just a role player, but every time I watch them, you get what I'm saying. Moving on. Another guy who's under some pressure after what happened at the Olympics, but I tried to tell you guys.
See, I done told you.
If you can hit this one here for me, Corey. Jason Tatum. A lot of people were talking about Tatum because after, of course, the 2 DNPs in the Olympics, and he really didn't get to play very much following, he's really the only 27-year-old you can ever think of in NBA history who comes off winning a championship and, does all the stupid quotes and things he did. But, I mean, he was really feeling himself. And he should. 27 years old, just won a title, and he gets to the Olympic team. You would think it would be his team. No, instead they sat his ass at the end of the bench. He DNP'd. Did not play a couple games and only got to play a few minutes sparingly because he has been the same thing that he's been for a while, the thing that I've told you, and now the thing that other people are starting to notice. He's a good player who's got a lot of positive qualities, but he is good at everything and he's great at nothing. And the Olympics roster specifically didn't just maybe, help you understand that. It exposed you for being that. Jason Tatum is a B-plus dude in everything. And while that's great in some scenarios and ways that you can make it work out, in sports and in a sport where we need, people that are really good at everyone to play a role or a spot, you did not fit in. You just didn't fit in because there's nothing that you did while you were good at everything. There was nothing you did that was special. Like I've said from day one, give me someone who has a strength and a flaw versus someone who's just kind of good at everything. Every time I've watched Jason Tatum, I've always been left with like, Like he's cool. He's great. He fits a lot of pieces, but when you ask me what does he do, I've never had an answer for you. And I mean, I watched all those, the NBA Finals. I watched him for the last 2 years, and everyone's saying he should be a top 5 guy, MVP candidate. And every time I watch him, I'm left with a little bit of just like, what do you do?
What would you say you do here?
He's not great at anything. He's a B+ at everything. I've mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. He is not top 5 in any category in the NBA you can think of. Jason Tatum, for as good as he is not top 5 in points. He's not top 5 in rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, 3 points made, triple doubles, fantasy points combined. There's literally nothing that he is top 5 in any category at. That is not something that happens to the top players in the league. You at least should be top in assist or top in scoring. You should have some strength. Most 3 points, anything, defensive player of the year, have something that stands out. Jason Tatum, every time I watched him, and Kerr saw it, and everyone else saw it, we don't know what you do. We don't need someone who's just kind of good in every spot. We needed someone to excel. That's why the guys behind you, like White and Drew, who are on your team, they are at least great defensive players. They had a role. Devin Booker can shoot really well. He's not as good as you overall, but he had a role. Anthony Edwards is young. AD is old and injury prone, but they all found a role. There was just nowhere to put you.
What would you say you do here?
You're just that. It's just a. This is a side note for me. This was just something I want to get into. But again, when you're not top 5 in anything, it shouldn't shock you that in a team that is specifically made for people to excel at certain spots, there was nowhere to put you. Everywhere that you wanted to play, there was somebody better at you in that spot. So you sat, and maybe you'll figure it out next year. Maybe you'll finally come up with the strength. I just don't think it's great to be a Swiss Army knife that has no main strength. It's just something that didn't work for me, and obviously didn't work for Steve Kerr. Moving on to a completely different subject. I want to talk about this lady for a minute. All right, let's just put her up. I'm calling her JoJo Kiwa. I don't care what anyone else says. I'm talking about Rachel Gunn, a.k.a. RayGunn, a.k.a., the Australian breakdancer who just made a shit show of herself in front of the entire world here. And yes, some people are going to say that nickname's stupid because Kiwis are from New Zealand, not Australia, da-da-da-da.
That was the stupidest nickname I've ever heard.
It's close enough, and it makes more of the bigger point I'm trying to make of, she just reminds me of a JoJo in the idea that, she doesn't seem to get that the joke is, even with the success and everything that you have, like, people are laughing at you, not with you. If they see you in public, they want you to dance and do things. It's not out of support. You're like an I Love Turtle. Like, you're a meme. You're a joke. It's not cute. It's not funny. I did not get the right response that a lot of people did from seeing her just, again, just have a complete, just a shit show. I don't know what else to call it when she went up and got 0.0 points in 3 rounds in the Olympics and just made an embarrassment of breakdancing in its first time ever at that level. I didn't find it cute. I didn't find it inspiring. I didn't feel sorry for her when people made fun of her. I thought that is just, honestly, and, I was talking about this before. I mean, this is just some middle-class, privileged white woman delusion that we're all just somehow extras in your movie. That for some reason, you just feel that you have the right or just the audacity to just go and embarrass yourself and your country. It just reminds me of JoJo. So to me, she's JoJo Kiwa.
All right, you got me. That's an awesome nickname.
Hit this video here for me. I put them side by side. You can see it's the same thing. It is this weird, again, middle-class white lady delusion, this delusion of grandeur that, everyone thinks I'm awesome. Everyone thinks I'm great. Look, I got a crowd around me. Look at me dance. Everyone's cheering. They're not laughing with you. They're laughing at you. But they're so in their own world. And again, we're all just extras in your movie, and they're so self-indulgent. Like, it's weird to have that level of lack of self-awareness. Like, the idea that you think it just reminded me, I'm like, dude, this is like a JoJo just on a lesser, more embarrassing version of like, they're laughing at you. They're not laughing with you. I don't know what to tell you. I just found this whole thing to be cringeworthy and frustrating and not cute at all. I did not have any level of this. It's been apparently split 50-50 in the comments, but a lot of people like me are just like, dude, what the hell was that? The hell was that? Other than, again, it just felt like privileged white lady delusion of grandeur nonsense.
It's all right, because it's all right.
That was the first thing that popped up in my gut. Because, and in case, for the 3 people that are watching, in case you missed it, you don't know what I'm talking about. There was this 36-year-old lady from Australia. Her name's RayGunn, a.k.a. RayGunn. I'm calling her JoJo Kiwa. She, stole the show in the Olympics. This was the first time they ever had breakdancing. And this lady from Australia, who has a PhD in breakdancing and in cultural studies. And if there's 2 examples of whether, those who can't do teach or that never trust somebody who says, oh, I have a PhD and no. I have never bowed to authority without you being able to prove it. She's a beautiful example of both of those. She only started apparently at 20 years old, by the way, which I did not know. So she's only been doing this for like 12 years. And, she did it because she wanted to inspire and hope. She didn't do that for any of that. She did it because she's self-indulgent and she wanted her 15 minutes and she did not care who she stepped on or who she embarrassed, including her country, to do it. And she got 16th place. Again, out of 16, she got 16th. That should be embarrassing enough. But the worst part of that is that she got no points in 3 rounds.
0.0.
In 3 rounds, she did not get a point. It's not funny. It wasn't cute. I mean, if you pop it up here for me, I just was like, this is just sad.
Hip hop is this: 1, 2, 3, 4, hit, and The more relaxed you are, that's what makes a hip hop. In a hip hop head, we have this: boom, bam, every time, or Your hands are always like this. Start out just hitting it. This is me. This is how I am. This is a lifestyle. This is it. Hip hop is an attitude. It's right here. It's how you feel. It's a style. So it can go out.
Privileged white women, man.
It's all right, because it's all right.
She got to the Olympics and thought it'd be cute to do the kangaroo hop and the sprinkler. I have literally seen drunk people at the bar dance better than she danced. And so it wasn't just, embarrassing for Australia and the breakdancing community. Now we come to find out it might have been a whole conspiracy and there might have been other stuff going on. There are allegations that this lady, RayGunn, was actually manipulated the entire selection process. You can Google all this. There was a petition on change.org about this explaining that the only reason she was able to get up there and embarrass herself, her sport, and her country was because she used her position and her husband and a bunch of people around her to create a board that was basically just throwing her in to the national, as the winner and be able to be the national representative. And the next thing you know, she's up there doing the damn kangaroo hop and the sprinkler and just embarrassing a sport and a country. And then people made fun of her. And then I had to listen to some lady from Australia who's a leader somewhere try to explain to me like, well, she's an inspiration. You guys making fun of her. You guys are mean and you're wrong. 2008, she was crying in her room because it was a male-dominated sport and she's trying to break through. And just, again, this is what happens, too, when you have people that, just put themselves out there with no, self-regard or self-awareness, and then they actually get some backlash. They want to give you a sob story, and it just doesn't work on me. I feel nothing when y'all try to pull this shit of, like, she was crying in her room. First of all, anybody in entertainment, yours truly, knows what it's like to cry in a room because you don't feel that great about yourself. Trust me, crying is not unusual. You're not the one lady who's ever cried in a room.
Crying all the time. Quit crying, just a push-up or something.
I don't even know what that means. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. But I mean, the bigger thing is that you probably, most likely, you did something. You did something. There's no way you were the best breakdancer in Australia. You wouldn't be the best breakdancer in a bar if I walked down the street. There's no way you were the best female breakdancer in the world. There's no way you did not do something, even though I have to say allegedly, to finagle your way up there. And the idea that now she is somehow an inspiration or somehow a sympathetic figure because she cried one time, I just, whatever. I didn't feel anything fun about this one. The guy with the big French ding dong hitting the pole, that was hilarious. That was circumstantial. circumcision stanchial, pun intended. That was at least, that was something fun to kind of have a thing with. This, to me, was just everything wrong with today's society and privilege and nonsense and self-indulgence and lack of self-awareness and delusion of grandeur. And to me, you didn't just embarrass yourself, you embarrassed your sport. They're not going to have the breakdancing back in the Olympics in 2028. The idea that you do this proudly, I think is just, just sad. And I don't know, man. I did not feel any of the things I was supposed to feel. Maybe I'm dead inside or something's wrong with me. But I don't think I'm the only one who just saw you and saw the way you've reacted and saw people try to defend you and just go, just gross. Like, ugh. So she's on 14.5 over 15 minutes. I'm still calling her JoJo Kiwa. It makes sense to me, and I can't wait till she's finally done. And again, the breakdancing is actually going away because she helped kill it. The sprinkler. You did the... They also had the nerve, by the way, say it's sexist. I'm not even going to get into all that. That's just a whole other thing for a whole other day. I want to talk about actually women athletes that are great at their sport and who I actually am looking forward to seeing. If Corey, you can hit the next one here for me. The Rookie of the Year race continues. We are now, the Olympics are done. The WNBA season break is over. We got Caitlin versus Angel again. Yes. At the time of this recording, Angel will have had her first game. Caitlin will play. Actually, it will probably have both had their first games at this point. We got about 15 to 17 games left on both sides. The season's going to end September 19th. And this is, to me, the best story in sports going. I am so excited that this is kicked back off as we got, again, Angel and Caitlin, the two rivals. Now we're teammates, and they're going to be going again for the Rookie of the Year race. Even though Caitlin does seem to have a lead right now, Angel is still doing her thing, and shocked a lot of people when she was able to pull this off by actually making this a true race. And so I can't wait to see him play again. Matter of fact, Corey, just go ahead and hit this for me. I'm going to talk about this race as I watch them. This was my favorite memory. Screw the Olympics. This was my favorite when they beat Team USA. I want to see them as teammates one day. It might happen in 3-on-3. I've talked about that in a previous podcast. But like I said, season is restarting. WNBA has started, actually, as of this recording right now. Angel and Caitlin. Angel is at plus 650 to win Rookie of the Year. Caitlin is at negative 2,500, so she has a significant lead. But, man, as we saw them beat Team USA, the gold medal team, both these girls are kicking ass and taking names, and I can't wait to see them finish off their season and see where this all goes. Angel, of course, as she did in the All-Star game there, where she led the game in rebounds. She's leading the league in rebounds currently, the 15 straight double-doubles. A lot of y'all know about that all-time WNBA record. She's averaging 13.5, 12 rebounds, 1.8 assists. Gotta love Angel. She's a dog. She does her thing. She takes no shit from anybody. Caitlin on the other side, leading all rookies in scoring, leading the WNBA in assists, leading the WNBA in points created, set an all-time record, 19 assists in one game, first rookie to get a triple-double. She's Caitlin. She's that one from the I Am Her tribe. But she's got Angel on her heels. It was so fun watching them kick their ass. I had such a blast enjoying this. That is honestly the most fun All-Star game I have seen in a long time. The WNBA has been some of the most exciting sports I have watched, man or woman, in the last 5 years. They are both right at the cusp of the playoff race at 7th and 8th, and they are 1 and 2 for Rookie of the Year. And we'll see what happens. I am very curious to see how this goes. Obviously, I think Caitlin's going to do it, but can't count Angel out. I didn't think she was going to beat her 2 years ago in college. She did. Wasn't a fan of all that. Angel's grown on me, though. Angel's grown on me. She's got an attitude. She's got a swag to her, and was actually the better player in the All-Star game. She really was. She actually outplayed Caitlin in the All-Star game. She could still outplay her in the regular season, and we'll see. That was the final pass there. I want to see them play together so bad. So bad. I got to see them play against each other again. But that's, again, at the end of this season, and that's another discussion for another day. Right now, we're going to see them go at each other for Rookie of the Year. Good luck to both of you ladies. I will be watching with all sorts of eyeballs. I cannot wait to see this stuff. Angel and Caitlin, go do your thing. Moving on. NFL. I got to get quickly into the NFL. I know I'm probably pushing time and all that. My papers are falling on me. All sorts of nonsense. But yes, NFL season is now in week 2 of preseason. Always great. 2 things I want to talk about. First of all, let me start here. This is something for me as a Texas boy. If you can hit this picture here for me. NFL preseason week 2. Season kicks off September 4th. This is a something for me. Growing up, born and raised, I'm Texan through and through, baby. Who's the best team in Texas? This used to be not even a conversation for a very long time, but now it is an honest question that I will give you my answer to in a second. But I am so happy that for the first time, maybe in 30 years, we really have to have a discussion. And there's been little blips here and there, but you know what I'm saying? Cowboys have ruled Texas. They're, supposedly America's team, even though they haven't won a game, a Super Bowl in God knows how long, haven't won a playoff game in a while. They have always been and are now still the richest franchise. I just saw this, now that you make me think about it, the other day. They are now worth $10 billion. They're the richest franchise in any sports in the entire world, including the big soccer clubs overseas in Europe. But, I mean, again, every time, in Texas, you grow up in it, you grow up in football. Everyone is football first in that state. It's just the way it is. As a basketball player, it was frustrating for me, but Texas is a lot of things, but it is football and football first, and always the biggest thing that can start a fight is not just Houston versus Dallas, but the two football teams. So the question is, who rules Texas in 2024? Now, the fun part about this is they're going to play each other this year. Only once every 4 years this happens, November 18th. Mark that down on your calendars. That will be a good sticking point to see, who's doing what. But honestly, and this isn't me just, being I've never been a Cowboys hater, but I'm kind of neutral. This is an interesting year because both of you guys are in the same scenario of you could both make the Super Bowl or you could both not make the playoffs at all. That's a very odd thing to happen, but that's the NFL for you. 14 teams make the playoff every year. 6.7 of those teams are new. So, usually half the teams that look good last year don't look as good this year. And you both have reasons pro and against. So, I look at Houston. Let me put it this way. I'm going to be on the Texans side here. I'm not going to lie. But, they're 10-7 from last season. They came off a playoff victory. And all that's great. C.J. Stroud is the number 2 favorite right now, currently, besides Patrick Mahomes for MVP. They're 16-1 Super Bowl odds right now, currently. They added, the pass rusher and Hunter. They added Stephon Diggs. They had Joe Mixon. The Texans look ready to roll. They were, though, in a lot of close games. And so 10-7, they were 7-3 in one-score games. I get kind of flashes. It was, believe the Minnesota Vikings a couple years ago. People thought they were on the up and up because they had a pretty good season. Then you looked, you're like, dude, a lot of those games could have gone either way. So they might have had some luck. Not to mention Jacksonville, was slid off the map with their 1-5 in their last 6 games. They got kind of handed that playoff spot, and they weren't supposed to be there anyway. So it was fun to see it happen. C.J. Stroud definitely is way above schedule, and adding, of course, Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon and Hunter's some great additions there. But it could have been a fluke. And the AFC is only going to get more competitive. To be 16-1 odds to win the Super Bowl, they might not even win their division, and sure as hell not the AFC. The Chiefs have come back stronger with their wide receiving core. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens are definitely ready to roll. The Bengals got Burrow back. He's back to being healthy. I do not have them as a guarantee. On the other side, the Cowboys, who are everyone's favorite team to talk about, y'all are in all sorts of shit right now, aren't you? The 12-5 season, the Cowboys fans, I don't even know. You know what time it is. You were 12-5 as usual. You have 3 12-win seasons in a row, but you got to the playoffs and shit the bed as you always shit the bed. Dak Prescott continues to be one of the best regular season quarterbacks of all time, who just suddenly disappears in the playoffs, and that question is going to happen every season, and only compound the worse he gets at it. So, you were supposed to have this all-in offseason, and y'all know what you did. You didn't do anything. The CeeDee Lamb thing, I don't even get it. Talk about I don't get it. That is one thing. What the hell are y'all doing with CeeDee Lamb?
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
What am I missing? He's the best receiver, arguably in the league, not named Justin Jefferson. You drafted him. He's up for his last year of his contract, and every minute you wait, he only gets more expensive and more pissed off. Currently, he's out of training camp. He's not even getting ready for the season yet. He's going to be a little rusty when he finally gets there. And every day, he just gets more expensive. What are you doing? Jerry Jones is a fun guy. He's an interesting dude. He's a terrible general manager, and he has terrible negotiation skills. And so, as good as you should be, Dallas Cowboys will have the number one defense. They're still going to have Dak Prescott. You have all sorts of problems, man. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, again, CeeDee Lamb is going to be just now not more expensive, but also pissed off, and, only hurt your salary cap more as you still have to re-sign Dak Prescott and other guys. Again, it's so weird to me. All you had to do was pay him a year ago. You would have got him at like $30 million. Now with Justin Jefferson getting the 4-year $140 million, you're talking in the mid-30s. So you're only adding more and more problems to your salary cap. Dak Prescott is going to have maybe be the richest free agent in history coming off this offseason, seeing how it goes. But, you haven't paid him yet. So you have a quarterback on a 1-year deal. You have a coach on a 1-year deal. The only guy who's been good and young on your team on offense is pissed off and not paid yet. You lost Tyron Smith, your best tackle, he left. You got like rookies all over your offensive line. I don't know what to tell you. I really do think this year, if you had to ask me right now, I think even Cowboys fans would tell you who has a better projection and who rules Texas. You got to go Houston, because Houston's on the way up, and y'all are clearly in the same befuddled mixture of nonsense and what ifs and possibilities in Dallas that just leaves me to go, you know what? It's the Texans' year, man. And we'll see, everybody, the preseason predictions are one of the most annoying things to do. But if you ask me right now, put a gun to my head, I would tell you, out of the two Texas teams, clearly the Houston Texans currently rule. Houston Texans rule Texas. Shout out to Kid. Moving on to one last thing in the NFL, and this is the last thing I can get to, unfortunately. Today, I want to say I'm sorry to Caleb Williams after just 1 week. Sorry, Caleb. If you can hit this for me here, Corey. Sorry, buddy. I did a whole thing last week, and I didn't even put it up, separately, thank God. But I had this whole thing last week about, Caleb Williams. I don't know. He's got a lot of high expectations. He's the most hyped number one pick, since Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck, Elway, Peyton Manning. It's a short list. The Chicago Bears have been 16-35 in the last 3 years. No playoff wins in the last 12. Just because they revamped their O-line and add some wide receivers, some great ones, by the way, and Allen Moore and drafting Odunze. This kid coming in with his painted nails, and he's crying to his mama, and he seems a little odd, and I don't know about this kid, if he's going to be ready for Chicago, because, again, Chicago, not just the third biggest city, one of the toughest cities. I don't know if this painted nail kind of weird, aloof kid is going to be ready for the bright lights of Chicago, or if he's going to be able to live up to the hype. I saw one preseason game. Never mind. My bad. He's actually really good. Go ahead and cut to this. He did this very quickly in 2 drives. The first preseason game against the Bills. 4 of 7, 95 yards, 101 rating, led to 2 scores. But he's the real deal, man. He did everything you want him to do. Obviously, you saw right there he could sling it. The next one here, he shows his ability to run. Got great legs. Pause. Had the 10 to 11 touchdowns per year in college, just running the ball. I thought this was a great way to show his ability to read a defense and improvise, the way he just shuffle passed it up. So, not just being able to do what's the schedule play, but be able to improvise and do things there. I thought that was very telling of, he's already relaxed in the pocket thinking and not being afraid to make mistakes, but those actually a lot of times will turn into success. And then this one, off the bootleg, gets the rusher to fall for the pump fake, and then just hits a strike on the run 15 yards up to Kmet. So he can improvise, he can throw in the pocket, he can throw on the run, he can, read a defense, he keeps his calm. My bad. Caleb Williams is everything that he's been advertised to be. That is that dude. He is going to be a stud in a year of good quarterbacks coming out of the rookie class with McCarthy, although he does have the knee injury. Pay attention to that. Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels. He's that guy. He'll be just fine. He's probably easily going to be Rookie of the Year, and Chicago might actually have a real chance to make a push in the playoffs if he is anything close to what we just saw in the first 2 possessions he had in a pro game so far, whether it's the 49ers having problems with Ayuk, or Philly having issues, losing Kelsey, or the Lions and their secondary, Packers. The NFC is up for grabs. They've added a lot of pieces, and my bad, Caleb. Paint your nails all you want. I know your mom does it for you. Cry to your mom if you want during the game. Do whatever else. You're a stud. My bad. Sometimes I'm wrong. I can admit it. Last thing, and I got to call it. There was an earthquake here in Los Angeles. I've only been in LA for about 8 months. Got to tell you, I'm not a fan. I'm from Texas, where we have, tornadoes and hurricanes and stuff, But I've dealt with those. I've never dealt with a real earthquake. This was, even my man Corey over here said, this is one of the worst ones he's ever been in. And it was long, man. It was like 10 seconds, dude. It sucked. It was only like a 4.6 or 7 or something like that. But I was not, the ground was shaking. My dogs are staring at me. I thought I was dead.
Honey, take a good picture. I'm dead.
I was ready for, I don't know if a lot of y'all remember the 89 World Series things where the San Francisco Bridge fell and all that. But feeling that was truly scary, man. I already have my, picadillos and stuff with this city. Earthquakes, I don't like you. So, I do want to say, though, a shout out to a certain lady, Malika Andrews, who is still probably underrated. I think she does a great job at ESPN. And clearly a Los Angelino who's used to this shit, and I'm not. I just want to throw this last one at the end here. So, again, my man Corey was here shaking at the studio. I'm shivering like a leaf at home. And then Malika was on NBA Live during this earthquake that I'm talking about and could not have been more cool and not more composed. Hit this video here for me, Corey. This was Malika during the earthquake. Look how easily she just rocks on with this. What a pro.
It was so much fun to see, particularly the crowd sort of getting behind as we have a bit of an earthquake here in Los Angeles. So we're just going to make sure that our studio lights, everything stays safe, everything's shaking. You good, Mylan? Everybody good? All right, thank you so much for bearing with us through that. Our studio was shaking just a little bit. Tarsi, if you're still good in the studio and everyone's still good. All right, so this is what I want to show you now. Rebecca, I
kept on rolling.
you just
kept it pushing.
Here. So
what a
Team
stud.
USA now has won
I almost peed my pants. My dogs are staring at me. I didn't know what to do, man. I didn't know whether to run to a doorway or get my shoes or just cry fetal in the corner. I didn't know what. Malika was just like, oh, we got an earthquake? All right, whatever. Anyways, Rebecca, back to the Olympic team. So shout out to Malika. That was impressive, I got to say. Be safe out there. I got to run. I know I'm out of time.